I believe that the Charting the LifeCourse tools and principles can really support a conversation around a person's vision for a full and connected life, and help them plan and problem solve, and help them understand their role and their value as they care about or care for those that matter the most to them. And that's really why I wanted to do this Charting the LifeCourse and community connection focus a little bit after doing that well-being one. So let's remind ourselves, we are part of a larger national group that talks about this framework and how it can impact how we think and how we support the people that we love, or the people that we are charged to support in our role professionally. It's out of a national community of practice around supporting families. I'm going to do a small plug for our local community practice, our statewide community of practice. That meeting's coming up in November. If you've seen that email come across your email, please look again. It's November 20th. Look to see and join us for that. We're going to have broader conversations, and we're kind of doing this refocusing on how do we truly support families in Ohio, which is why this work was originally brought here. I'm supported by a great team who probably is ready to, shake me a bit. This morning was a little rough, but Tracy Mans and Erica, you can see them both, are supporting me here. We're part of a ridiculously awesome team that are super passionate about this work. And I've had the opportunity, I'm seeing some familiar faces of meeting some of you. And I just encourage you whenever you can to jump into these rooms, because the perspectives of each of these people in the way they talk about this framework and tools, I learn something every day from them. And I hope that you can be in a position to grasp a lot of that knowledge and expertise too. So I sit down in Ohio, I sit down in Cincinnati, and I'm at the University of Cincinnati Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities. We sit at Children's Hospital. I'm a mom, and I'm a sister, and I'm a sister-in-law, and I'm an aunt, and I am a daughter of people with disability. So I come to this from a really personal space and really try to bring that into the work I do and the stories that I share and the way that I support others to give this a try. We're part of the Family Resource Network of Ohio. Please go to the website. You will be surprised by what you see there every time I go. I'm amazed that something new is there. Keep an eye out for our emails. Erica's done a fabulous job of communicating what we're doing and when we're doing it, etc. So just keep coming back. We're really excited and honored to have the opportunity to spend time with you. So why are we having conversations? I want to show you a few things. These are standard slides that we use whenever we talk about Charting the LifeCourse. And it struck me as I looked at this idea of communication and connection and community, that, when we talk about this particular slide and that what we want to see, and that's that 100% of people with intellectual and developmental disability are receiving services and supports in the community, right? So there it is, right there in the community they choose, doing the things they love with the people they love and care about, right? It's right there. When we look at our core belief that all people and their families have the right to live, love, work, play, and pursue their life aspirations in their community, right there again. When we talk about the role of developmental disability systems and that home and community supports, that people have a right to receive their services in the community in the same extent. So again, right there in the community to the same extent as those not receiving services. So when we look at IDEA and we think about it there, it's right there again. Ensuring equity of opportunity, full participation, independent living, all community-based, right? And then when we look at the work that kind of led to that original wing spread report that led to the development of the National Community of Practice, there it is again, that families play a key role in ensuring that their family has the life they want, participating in meaningful ways within their community. It's a natural conversation about how we connect and how we build this life that is meaningful. So it's super important to this work to talk about community and connection. You know, research indicates that the quality of our social relationships affects our health outcomes. It's such, you know, our mental health, our physical health, even mortality is tied into this idea of being in social relationships. Within the field of interpersonal neurobiology, they talk about a biological need for community, that social connection that we have. So we are wired to be connected in some way. There are plenty of folks with or without diagnoses of disability that struggle with that at the same time. So I'm not acknowledging that. But remember that meaningful connection and community create opportunities for us to grow and thrive. Strong relationships make you happier, and build, whether you have 3 strong relationships or whether you have 50 strong relationships. So building community connections fosters belonging, increases self-worth, and allows us to contribute. And when we contribute, we are connected and our health is better. And ultimately intentionally creating that vision for connection makes it easier to reach that goal. And so what I really want to do is tap into that idea. We all kind of just rely on bumping into those people that we're going to hang with and have a comfortable environment and have enough people. But I think we learned, as those kind of got clipped a little bit in COVID, that it really takes work to make that happen. And so that intentionality is the purpose of this hour, is to really get you thinking about, how can I be more intentional to build connection for the person that I care about or the person that I'm supporting? And that's really what I want you to think about today a little bit. So why is vision important? Vision encourages people to think about possibility. When we stop and talk about what's your vision, how do you see that playing out, right? We start talking about what's possible. When we don't take time to create a picture in our head, we don't think about what's possible. It empowers people to have control. And all of us in 2024 need a level of control. It moves people away from that lens of always focusing on disability and seeing that possibility. And it has the power to inspire us, to get us excited, to move us forward, and have others get excited about what we're trying to make happen and support us in doing that. And ultimately, the more experience you have going out in the community, connecting with people, online, connecting with people, this work is kind of exponential, right? So when you build community with intention, and over time, you can build a network of support for both you and your family, or for the person that you support and their family. And when this is done well, they'll have a village. We know, as we support families with disability, isolation is a problem. And we have to actively be avoiding isolation and intentionally creating ways that we're not isolating. And we as family members, I can promise you, when things are hard, we isolate, we back up, and we stay in our lane, in our house, in our spaces, and encouraging and having that fallback plan where we've built it in a different way intentionally can really make a difference. And your connections can grow their connections. So my connections can help grow my kids, even though they're adults. My connections can help grow my spouse connections. So we can impact each other in really positive ways, if in fact we take the time to make this work intentional. So what I want you to think about is how, moving forward, you're going to see those opportunities. I'm hoping this is going to kind of highlight that. We'll do some group conversations. So I know a lot of you have your cameras off right now. You know me, I like engagement. We're talking about connection. I'm going to have you guys unmute, or we might even look at the possibility of a breakout room depending on how this goes. But I want to make sure that we're in conversation and that I'm not just talking at you, right? So what we can think about, what we can see, what we can vision is driven by, in terms of possibility, is driven by experience. So we have to recognize, as we support either your kids, your adult children, the people that you work with, it's delicate and personal and slow. We cannot make connections quickly, so that intentionality has to last. We aren't going to do this all at once. So if you consider the personal experience of the person you're supporting as they participate in groups or maybe in one-to-one connections, how does that go right now? Think about places and spaces where you see them. Do they have positive experiences around friendships? Do they have friendships that they can rely on and refer back to and connect with over time? Build connection, or help them build connection around preferences. The people that we hang out with often tend to like the same things that we like. They have similar interests. They have similar experiences. If I like horses, I may enjoy being with people who like horses. We can talk about horses. We can share pictures of horses. We can compare horse experiences. It all sounds silly, but think about it. Think about sports. How integrated is that conversation in our day-to-day activities? And very, very acceptable. Grown men can put paint on their face and big shirts and jump up and down, and women too, and we can do all this stuff, and it's considered very socially normal, right? So think about that. It really does connect us in different ways. If I like the Bengals and you like the Jets, we like football, and we can find common, enjoyable experiences about all things football. You might like stats, and I might like the uniforms or the cheerleaders. You kind of get the idea that we can find ways to create conversation and connect. We can learn our preferences through experiences. But let's go back to my horse reference. If I've never been around a horse, I may think I love horses, but maybe I only like pictures of horses, right? So I'm going back again to this slide you're looking at. That opportunity for experiences is really what changes in this Charting the LifeCourse conversation, what's possible. And looking at what's possible in experiences for folks, especially our folks that are more complex, can be a game changer for this, and always having a vision for what's possible. Not everything is possible today, but maybe something is possible, or we're moving towards something to be possible. You can begin, you may begin the opportunity for an experience by doing it with the person you're supporting. But then you may take turns with others, family members, neighbors, friends, maybe even a paid provider in a support role. Backing away can be a series of taking a few steps forward and then having to take a step or two backwards. The focus should remain on what they like to do while learning who they might want to do it with, and connect with people who have shared interests. That's the fertile ground for relationships that are equitable and reciprocal. Allow room for growth without losing sight of any perceived risks. Ask yourself, how can you best support this person while allowing the dignity to what I always refer to as failing forward in their experience? Keeping in mind that sometimes there are two elements to plan for: the activity itself and the support needed to engage in that activity. When I talk about this, I think about a young man who attends my church, and he is 22 years old, and his mom had reached out to me because we know each other professionally, and she said he's been encouraged by a friend at his school program that he needs to get God. And so he has asked for his mother's support to do that. And she knew that my church was nearby where they lived. And so he would be able to walk there if in fact it was a fit. So she told me a Sunday they were going to come. And that was about 3 months ago. And they came for a number of Sundays in a row. And this young man is like the mayor of his neighborhood. So he ran into person after person after person if he came between the two services of people he already knew and that recognized him, right? And so he's going, and about week 3, he looked at his mom and said, you don't need to come anymore. I know this isn't your thing, this is my thing, and I'm cool with it, so you don't need to come. And he now walks himself to church. He sits with my husband and I, but he often will very quickly disappear after service and find several of his neighbors, because we don't live in his neighborhood, to connect with and talk to. And he is right now clearly at church for connection, not for God necessarily. That may come, but he's there for connection. And so recognizing how those experiences, his experiencing walking his dog, is why he knows the people standing in the back of this service after service. His experience of spending 1 or 2 days of the week, taking his money and going up and buying things in the neighborhood stores, is why he knows these people. But that network of connection is happening. And now he's made 2 connections. My neighborhood is also in this building, and I want to be here and I want to contribute. That church then had a day where they gave in the neighborhood and gave up their physical assistance. And again, he saw more people he knew, and he's beginning to make a connection with how important this is. So how can we really do this, right? We have to know and understand and value our gifts, our strengths, our assets, and those of others. Do those words sound familiar for those of you that know Charting the Life Course? So we're looking at our strengths, we're looking at strengths and assets, we're looking at admirable things. Those are in your 1 page. Those are in your support star. The language is already there. We have to create space for people to feel welcomed and connected to, right? And so we have to think about those places, and in order to do that, they have to be perceived as valued in that space. We have to develop self-awareness and help them develop self-awareness in order to see someone else's perspective when we start to work in groups. And we need to be able to improve our self-esteem and practice self-control by having those experiences. So those of you, if there's anybody here that's in education or in that space of skill building, there's a bunch of things in here we can talk about in terms of building skills to be a connector. I need to understand myself. I need to understand my gifts. I need to be able to understand others and share a perspective, right? That can be a speech goal. That can be an intervention. That can be an after school opportunity with community building within my county board. That could just be my brother and I hanging out and going up and doing what teens do or what young adults do. But there's skill building, and there can be an intentional trajectory of how we get to that person who is connected. Does that make sense? But remember, think about the connections you already have. If you're a supporter, think about your connections and how they might roll into. I never had friends after I had children who weren't my children's friends' parents. Your life gets busy, and it's who you're running into, right? And you find that common ground. So start there. Who do we already know? And where can that lead? It doesn't have to be this big effort to build this. You can start right where you are. We have to know about our strengths. We're going back to that 1-pager. What's important to me? What's the support I need? What do people notice in me? What are my gifts, right? So we have to know what those are. We have to know who's important to us, right? Who are we supporting? Who are we helping? And how do we help them help those people or create that connection? I always say, you know, a lot of times when I'm talking to younger parents, we wait for the birthday party invitation and we grieve when it doesn't come. But what about throwing one heck of a party? What about throwing a daily activity? There was a mom who it's one of my favorite stories. She lost services for physical therapy. And she began to have an event at her house on Friday afternoons called Pillow Fight Friday. And all the kids in the neighborhood were invited to her house to have supervised pillow fights because her child doing this was super important to keeping that upper body strength so they could do this with their chair. So making those connections and helping it connect people. All of this is often discovered through conversation and relationship with others. I want folks to be honest, and for a hot second, raise your hand, or you can just do your physical hand, you can do your little digital hand, but humor me and follow up on the ask. If you are less connected now than you were in 2020, prior to the pandemic, how many people? How many people reach out to fewer people? Come on, I'm looking right at you. Help me out here. Yes or no? Okay. How many people spend less time with family? We all are doing that, right? And those of you that aren't, please come into my life and tell me how to re-engage. Because it's hard work. It takes time. It takes effort. So knowing that we have to connect to help the people we support or that we care for to connect. Thanks for engaging in that with me. Remember, true connection is built on common interest and value, right? That preferences and what me being valued in a space, right? Missed when I'm gone is the phrase that sticks with me. Helping the person you care about or support to create spaces that they are missed when they're gone. I can promise you, it hasn't happened yet, but likely one of these days I'm going to walk into church on Sunday and Max is not going to be there. And there's going to be at least 2 or 3 people that ask me, hey, where's Max today? And I may or may not know because I don't keep track of Max. That's not my job. But that reality that, you know, he's missed, he's created a space. There's an expectation that he's going to be part of their day. That long-term connection and relationship requires shared experience and reciprocity. Not always receiving, but giving. There was a young lady that had that fall off the cliff when she left high school because she used to go somewhere where all her friends were. And when she stopped going to that place where she saw all her friends and all her friends were there, very quickly, those relationships went away. Some of them went off to college. She hadn't realized and recognized that that was going to take a different level of effort to stay connected. She began writing snail mail letters and cards to her friends who went to college. Unsolicited, not worrying about whether she got one back. But if she didn't, there was at least 1 or 2 times where she would run into that person back at church, back at the grocery during Christmas break, and they'd go, I got your letter. That was so cool. That was so nice. And then beginning that conversation again of saying, hey, can we get together while you're home? It's awkward and not every answer is going to be yes, but we have to be willing to try and have those experiences. Connection is based solely on a shared experience. If connection is based solely on a shared experience of disability, it is likely not going to last as long, right? So if I come to a classroom and all my friends are there and it's in that classroom, it's still going to take effort for family and friends to get us together. If I come to a space of that we are together because of, you know, an Special Olympics and things like that, it is still going to take an outside connection and effort to come together outside of that to build a true relationship and deep connection. We can't just rely on that for a place to go and be with people and not develop that next layer of the relationship. Whether it is simply that we're contacting each other via text, it might be that we're meeting for a coffee, but we've got to take it beyond that experience, right? That can't be the only reason that we've found to be together. It is certainly a common, you know, things we share. Just like if I have lost a husband, I'm going to be able to connect with other people that have lost the husband. But at the same time, it's not going to be the relationship will not last if that's our only connection. So it's a combination of these interactions, these experiences that build those solid connections. But beginning with that person-centered conversation of discovery and vision planning can be some of the most important work. We go back to that slide that I often present, those conversations of what's possible, the conversations as a family, the conversation about everybody's vision and how it works, and the conversations of reflection of how is this working and and is it working at all? Is it what you expected? And but that frequent interaction and shared experience is what's going to build those connections. So I'm again going to ask you to humor me, Sarah, or I don't want to put you off into rooms, but I really do. Those of you that can undo your camera, and I would love one or two of you to volunteer to interact with me. So who's brave enough? A couple of you have made some pretty good eye contact with me. Who wants to just engage in a little activity with me? Raise your hand or unmute.
I could. I'm brave.
Okay. Hey, wait a minute. Let's see. Hi, Najma. Good to see you. Nikki, I see you unmuted too. Is that good?
Yes.
All right. I got two people. All right. So I want you to look at these questions. All right. So think for a minute, what's your good life look like? And we're not going to say for like the rest of your life. Well, let's say for till the end of this year, just hang for a little bit and think, what's your vision of a good life for the next 8 weeks? We got the holidays coming up. What's your good life look like? So I'm going to have Nikki go first and then Najma. What are you thinking about? What has to be there for it to be a good couple of months?
I guess with me, just staying focused on trying to think what's coming ahead of me, what needs to be done. I recently just got married.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. In the last 30 days, so I have a lot of things I got to do, changing my name and getting things established. So to me, getting settled in as a new wife was my vision for good life right now is what I'm focusing on. And outside of that, just maintaining all the other stuff that goes along with it. But that's
not letting anything else fall. Absolutely. Well, that's so exciting. Congratulations. That's really cool. Okay, Najma, what is it? What's your vision for a good life?
For the rest of the year, my vision for a good life for me is to work on my health, specifically on my weight. I joined a gym, but out of the 6 months, I think I only went there 1 month. And I'm paying for it every month, but I do need to go. So because of my health issues, I want to take it more serious because I realize that I can't have a good life if I'm not here.
There you go. There you go. So now when we look at those two things, I want everybody, I'm only seeing some of you who have your camera off, but so when you look at those, how many people, and I want them to see and connect with you. So either raise a hand or electronic little emoji hand, raise your hand. Who heard something in those two stories that there is a common connection in the way that you're feeling? Give them the visual, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, yes, yes. See? Okay. So good life. We want to be healthy. We want to manage what's on our plate. We want to celebrate those amazing new things that are happening that are launching us into a new space. And Nikki, I don't know if you're like me, but when I get something new like that, it's like, oh, I want to rearrange everything. I want to, I want to, yes, reset, all those things. Who can relate to that, right? We all can. All right. So now let's take it a step further. I'm going to start with Najma this time. So in that space, as you're talking about your healthy living, what's a vision of connection that you can see for that particular thing you talked about that can help you move forward? It can be specific or broad.
One of the connection is definitely one of my good friend. She is also struggling. And so for the first month, it was so easy going because we both were going together. but we lost that connection. And so I need to put more effort on reconnecting and encouraging each other, because it's easier when you had someone else going with you. But I've lost that connection because of work, because of my own other responsibilities. So I need to work on reconnecting with her.
Perfect. How about you, Nikki? Where's a way you can connect in this with others, with what you're kind of seeing for the next couple of months?
I kind of agree with Naja, because when you lose track when you got so much going on with your own life. I would like to try to just reconnect or maybe catch up with some of my friends and stuff now, kind of hang out a little bit more, just see them more. Haven't had a chance to see them as often as I would like to, because I've always worked 2 jobs, or I was just doing something with my husband and family. But I really would like to try to get back out there, just not like hang out or nothing, but just kind of maybe go out to eat, hang and chill, just to see how their life is going, just to kind of take some things off of my own plate a little bit, take a break from
First this time. Oops, did somebody say something that I missed? All right. So Nikki, I'm gonna have you go first this time. Now, when you think about your communities that you're part of, how could you get support for that and connection and create a space in the broader community so that you're sure you make this happen in the next 4 weeks? It could be specific or it could be broad.
Well, I guess kind of look out there in the resources, look at some of the things what's out there in the community for us to do, kind of find things that we used to do or didn't get to do, how things have changed, and just invite everybody, say, hey, let's try this now, let's do this now, just to see, or even send out, we have a group text that say, hey, what's going on, what's new out there, I haven't been there in a while, or can y'all introduce me to some stuff, just kind of put it back in their plate too at the same time, just kind of work together, I guess, in the community.
Absolutely. So that working together is the reciprocity, reaching out into those places and using what already exists to help support you make this happen, right? How about you, Najma? What are you seeing? You mentioned the gym.
And I was thinking, one of the way of the community is my friend, her son, he's 16 and he is autistic, and she loves to take him for walks to the park. So this could be a way of not only us getting out and being active, but also bringing her children, because she does have many children, and that is a way of me connecting with her, and to the parks that are free, to YMCA. I mean, there's so many activities in the community where she doesn't have to leave her kids. She can bring it, and we can do it as a community thing, but still be a part of me not being just sitting in my office and in my chair, but actually out in the community and being part of the community and not separated from my own community.
See how easy that was? Now, those of you that see Nikki's face and Najma's face, when you see them other places, if you see them other places, you can say, hey, how's it going? And you could say things like, hey, you inspired me, and now I'm thinking about that too. How many people were inspired to think a little more deeply about a connection between now and December? I'm so excited you guys came here today. This is like my jam. I love this. All right, so tools. How do we use these tools, right? So the idea of using the vision tool for exploring ideas is a natural piece, right? Really playing with what that might look like. What is my vision for connection, for intentionally building community, for intentionally helping someone else build community? I can promise you, most of us professionally could use that too. So doing it together and beginning with that relationship with the person that you're supporting or your family member as that reciprocal relationship is a really easy, natural place to start. Okay. So I want you to think about some of these questions that I'm asking. And again, I want you to interact with that chat for me. I won't, but if you feel like unmuting, I love it because it's connection and it really matters to me overall because I'm a connector. I love that part. But let's think about this. What and who do you care about? Just put in the chat, who's the first person that comes to mind? What and who do you care about? All right, nobody's typing in my chat. Come on, guys. Humor me. My mom. Thank you, Amanda. People I serve. My son. There we go. Okay. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Let's see. What do you enjoy doing? Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Eating. Yay, me too. Walking. No, I will learn to enjoy it. Bowling. Okay. What are you passionate about? Truly passionate about? Come on, get something in there. If you haven't typed in the chat, type now. Question number 3 is as good as question. Dogs. Painting mandalas. Okay, I want to be friends with Sally. Serving Jesus. Yay, Deb. Thank you. Absolutely. What do you want to know more about? I want to know more about painting mandalas. Changing lives. Reading and learning. Yoga. I'm scared of yoga, Nancy. Spending quality time with elderly parents. There you go. Coffee. I love coffee. I'm not allowed to drink it anymore. Do you watch DIY shows, Amanda? I do. Right. More questions. Let's see. Where do you love being? Traveling. At home. Yeah. I mean, I can relate to that. Quality time with family. Outside and with kids. Chasing kids. I love that. In nature. Who do you want to be with? Let's see. I'm moving things around my screen. All right, so let's start with the don't want box. What makes you uncomfortable? Keep using the chat, guys. I don't want to lose you yet. Conflict. Keep going. Come on. I know you're getting tired. Fake people. Public speaking. Okay. Failure. That's a tough one right there. What causes you to experience anxiety? Might be some of the same things. Large crowds, large groups. Yeah, especially after the last 3 or 4 years. Being on the spot if I'm just learning. Oh, I hope I'm not doing that to you right now, Tina. When do you feel most alone? Oh, see, Kevin, you and I are alike. If I upset others, that makes me uncomfortable. Absolutely. When do you feel alone most? Oh, people got quiet. Hang with me. In the evening, when I'm sick. I'm gonna wait a few minutes. I want you guys to really think about that. When no one responds to my text message for support. Wow, Lisa. So we're all going to handle that differently when it happens to us next time. We're going to make sure we answer because you just saw that message. When someone I love passes away. Absolutely. If I'm being intimidated. Yeah. What keeps you from growing? It's a little harder to think about. Keep typing though. I don't want to lose you. Fear, the unknown, myself and self-doubt, anxiety. What makes you feel hopeless? Not challenging myself. I do this because number one, we know that there is a direct correlation between the want box and the don't want box. So I ask those questions of what makes you uncomfortable. So you'll think about the things that are keeping you possibly from connecting and building community. Experiencing anxiety, feeling hopeless, not growing. If we can find the opposite of that thing. So in other words, Julia said, she feels hopeless if something goes wrong, then what are the things that we can do to make you more okay with that feeling of it not going exactly how you planned, right? So we can address it if we look at it. So the don't want box is important in thinking about how we can connect and build connection. It is easy for family members and those that support people with disabilities to come up with all the reasons why this idea of building community is just never going to work. It's all that. It is so needed and necessary. We can't not do it. We cannot not help them do this. It takes time and it takes effort. All the other things will connect to it and be better for it. I watch my time. So what if we add Just this simple sentence, trajectory for a good life of connection and community. And you began to build this trajectory. What would it say? What would you put in there? How many people can raise their hand and say, I'm going to do something with this before the end of the year? Tina, yay. Who else? Who else is brave? Who can commit? Thank you, Amanda. I'm not going to call you. Thanks, Julia. I promise, unless you want me to. Nancy, awesome. Think about what that's going to do to how you work and how you play, right? We've got great times in the next 2 months, potentially, for that opportunity. Or maybe you're nervous that you're not going to have opportunity to connect during the holidays. And I encourage you to take time to say, how am I going to do that? How am I going to make that happen for myself? What would reasonable expectations look like to help me move forward? Baby steps, right? So I want to share with you real quickly a trajectory that I worked on a bit. And I'm hoping you can read it, but I won't read through the whole thing. I'm moving my screen stuff around again. Around this. So that vision for what I want. And mine wasn't, I'm going to do this. It's like, I really want to identify a passion or an interest, right? I really am working so much that I've lost sight of those things. But more importantly, I want to develop one that I want to explore with someone. I challenged myself that way to say, not only identify a passion or an interest, but something that I'm willing to do alongside someone. There are certain things that I would do, maybe art, that I want to do very privately and alone, right? I'm not brave enough to do that alongside someone. But what is something I can do alongside someone? Identifying a passion or interest that I feel confident to share with others, right? Because if we share it with others, we find others who have that interest. To have connections or spaces in communities where I'm missed when I'm not there. Paying attention to how I enter a space, how I create that value, how I teach the people I'm supporting where their value is so they can create that value. What I don't want is to lose important relationships without understanding why. Really going back and saying to myself, what happened? Maybe getting really brave and saying to them, what happened? To invest connections that are not reciprocal. Maybe there's a relationship there, but the fact that I'm not giving in a way that supports them, I'm not paying enough attention, right? Not to have learned from new experiences of what I like and I don't want, that I can continue to connect. And then I looked at things that I'm doing or want to do that will help me. Creating decorating projects, exploring more on Pinterest, but now there's a new thing that's not Pinterest. I don't know what it is, but I heard tell. When I'm comfortable having difficult conversations with those that I experience conflict, because sometimes I just run away and the relationship's gone, right? Looking into a community writing group, or pickleball is one that's been haunting me because my husband wants to play pickleball and I do not, but I'm trying to open myself up to pickleball. Walking away from connections or relationships when they're difficult. Let discomfort or feel a fear of failure keep me from beginning something. And some people, I'll put that in the chat, right? Not feeling I'm good at something. So it's all there. So in the chat, Lisa had added, I think you have to determine what you want to share and what you prefer to do alone, because when you have a forced activity with others that you prefer to do alone, it can be negative. Think about how our system is built when I read that statement. We often assume everybody wants to do something, or we just have to build it that way because that's the way it's built. And it may not be something I want to do. And then I may want to go out less and less simply because every time I go out, I'm doing something I don't want. I mean, it has to go back to that person-centered piece. And we have all the different domains that we can look at connection. Maybe we go to work, maybe we volunteer, maybe we, like Max, he goes up in the neighborhood and goes to buy his favorite soda and his favorite snack. And he says hello to everybody and stops and pets everybody's dog and makes that connection. And they all knew him when he walked into church. Community living, all healthy living. We heard Najma. That's safety and security. Where am I safe to connect? And we can't not talk about that, but we can talk about it in a way that allows opportunity. And then where am I advocating to create that place that I missed when I'm gone? So other tools, we've got the domain tool that most of you will have seen, and I'm not going to worry about you seeing this tiny one and it's attached. But look what I did very quickly. What do I think I can do or want to do to connect with others during the day in my adult life? I just adjusted the questions. You don't have to change the document, but you can just adjust how you think about it. Where would I like to live in my adult life? Would I live alone or with someone? How will I connect with others when I'm there? How will I contribute? How will I be valued? Again, using this tool to really look at connection. And that should be part of the tools that you have. You can use the big blue book or the different life stages and look at the things that are suggested there. Look under personal relationships for school aides. Do I have opportunities to connect with friends after school hours? Have you helped me explore clubs or school activities that I might be interested in? Again, so many opportunities to look at ideas for connection. We can look at the STAR, right? The integrated STAR to say, how do I support that idea of connection? So we sometimes forget to look at our own strengths or our skills and our assets, and we can use those to build the capacity or to support a connection or a better connected life. We can recognize what we're doing well at or have at what we have to offer, and it can help us create that way to share and connect with others. So my niece, Grace, loves to fold laundry and run a vacuum. Grace is 25. She has Down syndrome. She now works at a law firm. But when she was younger, she would call one of their friends and say, can I come vacuum for you today? I mean, who's going to turn it down, first of all, but that reciprocity of what I have to offer. And then she would stay and visit, and Karen would make her a snack, and they would have a visit. And now when Grace comes off the bus for work, she works at a law firm downtown. And when she gets off the bus, she'll stop at Karen's. What are you doing today, Karen? Do you have any goldfish? Let's have a snack. And they visit. It's a relationship that was built across time based on something that she had to offer, right? So personal strengths and assets. Relationships, it's kind of obvious, but those people that you enjoy spending time with, who are they? And who might you want to know more about or connect with, right? How do we use common technology, the technology that everybody uses to connect? And how can we use it in new and different ways? That idea of community resources, mapping those places where others with similar interests who live near you, who know you, where they also go to connect, right? And then how can you use those services and supports that you might qualify for to really enhance your ability to build community in an intentional way? I'm challenging this to be intentional, right? So that we can look at a tool and say, okay, if we want to build supports for connection, list the strengths you have now that will help you connect and the things you need to develop in that split STAR. List the connections you have now for relationship and list who you want to connect with. The split STAR is a beautiful tool for that. So really quick, I want someone to be brave enough to tell me one way that they will use a community, what exists in the community where they live to create a connection over the next 8 weeks. Unmute and tell me about some place that you've been curious about, that you're going to help someone that you care about or yourself as someone who supports them or as a family member. What's one place you've been curious about that you want to try and that you might grab somebody to try with you? Go ahead, Tina.
I'm going to volunteer to work the pantry this holiday. We had a house fire in 2009 and tons of people like just went crazy doing stuff for us. So I want the family to volunteer this year. We've done it before in the past, but we've kind of slacked off since 2020. And so we're going to go back to the pantry this year. So that's one of the main things I want to make sure we do to help out for the holidays.
Else have something similar on their list over the holidays. That's kind of a common thing that we do. Anybody else? What are you going to do? Diana? I thought saw your mouth moving. I didn't know if you were, nope, okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Julia.
I'm gonna go to a it's called Booty Mix dance class with my coworker. We're trying to get serious about our health and kind of build that friendship outside of work, I guess.
And don't we all need that right now? Who needs better connections outside of work? We are working like crazy. And think how connection could change that. An intentional connection. So these tools are available to you. Grab the split star and right in there, create a significant connection, just one that's going to support you and rebuild those folks into your life and into the lives of the people that you support, and utilize those connections to build community. We're going to be doing a couple other things around community and community building over the next couple of months that I'm super excited about. We're still putting it together. But next in December, beginning of December, we're going to do just a 2-part series around talking about belonging and building belonging within the IEP conversation. So that IEP and belonging, where are the places to have that conversation about how we can help this child connect, build community, and have a sense of belonging, and build those skills that they'll need to go into the community and feel a greater sense of belonging. So that'll be coming up. We're hoping to do something around right after the beginning of the year around building those networks of support, building intentional networks. And we're going to be working on that with a couple of our other ambassadors, Lynn Fogel, who's from the health department, and Amy Clausen, who's with Family to Family. And we'll be building, and Meredith, who's in Family to Family in Columbus. So that'll be another one. But let's see. There you go, Tina. Live to work versus work to live, not live to work. All right. Well, I really, really, really appreciate all of you coming today. Just remember that Charting the Life course is about creating that life where you can live, love, work, play, and pursue your life aspirations in community and in your community. It's a lifespan approach. It's never too early. It's never too late. But I will promise you it needs to be intentional for it to work. And we know the folks that came to the table to help us get here. Please come back, join us in these other opportunities. Erica put a lot of this stuff in the chat that we talked about and the tools that we used.